Hello my friends, welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. This is episode number 212 and today I'm here with my friend Jordan Scott. We're going to look at great tips for you to take better pictures of your art. Hey Jordan, good to see you, man. How are you?
Great to see you, my friend.
Well, welcome to my
Hello,
studio.
everybody. Yes.
Welcome. We're
It's
here
good to be back.
Thank you, that's right.
Yeah.
We're here because, well, first of all, you're a great friend. You are also a great artist yourself.
Thank you.
And you also are a photographer. And lately you've been doing workshops on photography at various levels, which hopefully at the end of the episode tell us how we can find more about that.
Very good.
And you can help us today with how to take better shots of our artwork, because that's essential. We were talking about this previous to the episode on how many times as artists, like, you know, we don't get into shows or we lose opportunities because our images are either blurry or too small or too big or something, right? Something's not right. So you're gonna help us out today.
So everybody has a little bit different level, a very much different level of knowledge base in their photography. But if you have a basic DSLR camera like Sergio brought his, it's a Canon T3i. Nikon has similar versions, so does Sony. Just learning a few basic things can take your images for your own documentation to the next level. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen as a judge or a juror when we had issues with maybe not so much the art, but the quality of the images in the art. So the first basic thing is your backgrounds. There's two ways to submit artwork. There's no right or wrong to this necessarily, and one is with a slight background showing around the image, and one is cropped to the edge of the image. I use them both depending on the image.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sometimes I want it to have a little room to breathe, especially in an email attachment. Sometimes I like that look. In either case, you need to have a plain white background or a gray, like gray background, or in some cases, if it works for you, black background. But you can't have any type of a cluttered background, no paint splotches on your no kitchen cabinets. I'm not going to go into that one. So work on that, and to do that properly, you need just some basic editing skills. We'll talk about that when we get to the end, to do it right. But the most major thing for shooting your artwork properly right off the bat is to have a tack sharp image. That's what we call it in the photography world, sharp as a tack image. And to do that correctly, you must stop hand holding.
What I'm doing right now, right?
Right, because I don't care who you are, and I don't care if you're a yoga master, a Jedi warrior, you're in a little bit of motion, right? And we call that handheld camera shake. So to get the sharpest images, you need just a basic tripod.
And because a lot of times it's easy to judge by the little screen and you think, oh, it looks good, but this is not really.
One of the first things, thank you. One of the first things I teach in my beginner classes, that little screen, although wonderful technology on many levels. Ansel Adams would have a heart attack to see a screen like that if it came back, right? They lie to you. And what they lie, those screens are great for composition and exposure, which means how light or dark the image is. But they absolutely lie to you about whether your image is sharp or not. And I'll have students come in and they'll go, look sharp. And then I put it up on in Lightroom on the camera. It's a blurred mess from handheld shake. And so you can zoom in on those and get really close, but that slows down your process. So get a really inexpensive tripod. Last time I was in the Salvation Army looking for some studio supplies, there was one for $10.
Wow, Amazon also 15.
Absolutely. Now the key to using a tripod correctly is either having a remote. If you don't have a remote, that's fine. Almost every camera has a built-in timer. Most of the new ones have a 2-second timer. That 2-second timer is exactly what that is for, working on a tripod. 2-second timer isn't so that you can run into the image real quick. That's the 10-second timer. 2-second timer is so that when you press on that shutter button to take the picture, it pauses and lets any motion you created, even on a tripod, especially a cheap one, go away, and then it explodes.
That's great.
So that's number one. Tripod, no more hand holding. You'll get used to it. 2-second timer or remote. The next one is even lighting, not having hot spots throughout it. That's a little bit more complicated, but even with some really inexpensive clip lights that are diffused properly, by diffused I mean using something transparent in front of it that will make the light kind of diffuse out and soften it, but take care of the hot spots.
Do you recommend LED light?
The new LEDs are great. A little bit of issues with those is going to be how big your artwork is. For example, this beautiful piece behind us, we're never going to light with an LED. We're going to need 50 of them. So you got to figure out what kind of lighting you have and then go from there, right? But just make sure you don't have these hot spots. A hot spot on an image is so difficult to get out.
Especially the white, it kills all your details.
Absolutely. It destroys the detail, right. So as well as with, so that's not just even lighting, right? And if the smaller your artwork is, the easier it's to achieve that. The larger it is, you gotta learn a little bit more to do it. But then proper exposure. So even if you're still on fully auto on your camera, I suggest you take one of my workshops or go online. Lots of great online workshops. Creative Live has great workshops to get off automatic. Even if you're not in fully manual, there's some other modes right on that dial. The P, the TV. Even the P is better than fully auto. The fully manual you'll graduate to. But by doing that, you can actually control the exposure.
Right. And you caught me on my camera when you opened what's going on?
Fully auto. It's okay. He's gonna take one of my workshops.
I'm learning.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? A lot of the times you get exactly what you want from it. When it's your own artwork and it's that critically important, we want to get to the next level. So you want to get off auto, but if you're on it, you need to learn how to do something called exposure compensation, which is bracketing essentially, so that when you take your image, maybe you have one that's a little darker than the camera thinks it should be and one that's a little lighter than the camera should be, and then you have those to work from later. You can do that all in post-processing, but to have something closer to on a camera is great, right? Is the best.
Yeah, and I remember we used to do that back in the slide days where we did a lot of bracking.
Oh my gosh!
Because you were guessing.
I was a maniac. So what he's talking about is back in the day we didn't submit JPEGs. We submitted slides, 35 millimeter slides, and I would bracket 3 or 4 in each direction, and we'd have boxes of slides, which meant we were taking lots of pictures at different exposures, lighter and darker, because we couldn't change it. With modern technology, it's awesome. We can up it or lower it, but whenever you brighten an image, you risk creating a little bit of noise, which we won't go into, but it does affect the quality. The other most important thing, it's a little complicated, but it's called white balance. If you don't have proper white balance, your images won't have the proper colors. If we shoot this one behind us under these lights with incorrect white balance, you'll have a yellow cast for the whole thing, which you don't want. So the first thing you want to do on your camera is put it on auto white balance. If it looks good, you're done. If you're happy with it. If it doesn't look good and you have a color cast, a little bit too yellow, a little bit too blue, you want to go to the presets in the white balance. And every camera is easy to get to. You know how you find them? The big old WB right there. It's that easy. It's easy to learn. If the presets are giving you trouble, and by the presets, you will actually just plug in what kind of light you're using, whether it's tungstens or fluorescent, or you're shooting outside on a cloudy day, right? And ultimately, you want to graduate. It sounds really techy and scary. It's not, to using what we call a gray card. Now the gray card you can use later to either correct the color balance and make it perfect, or in camera. And it's a $10 item that you can take a picture of in your camera, set all the other pictures to register that color balance off that gray card, and you'll have as close as you need to perfect. Right, and getting back to the first one about tack sharp images, also I just wanted to throw that in because I was looking at your camera that reminded me. Take your focus points, which are, most people have them set to random, like on your phone, like it's finding the phase. You got to get it onto the center focus point of your camera. And I can show you later how to do that. The center focus point is more accurate than the other focus points, but then you'll be able to control that camera didn't actually focus in on something to the side or in the background, especially if you have 3D artwork. And then lastly, and I know this is, everyone's going to get a little scared, is you have to learn some basic post-processing editing. Pick your program. My program is Lightroom. A lot of people love Photoshop. It's great, and even Photoshop Elements, which is a really beautiful, inexpensive, very powerful now. It's wonderful. Something like that. And then there's some free stuff online as well, so that you can do these extra little things like cropping and image sizing.
Excellent. Awesome.
All that. Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you, my friend. That's been very helpful. Hopefully, your friends been this also helpful. Where can we find more information about you? Your art and also your workshops.
Thank you. jordanscott.com or jordanscottart.com, and you'll see all my artwork, but you'll see a whole photography page, and on there different workshops and different things coming up.
And
my shows. Instagram, Jordan Scott Art.
Awesome. Well, my friends, thanks so much for watching today. Please share this episode with a friend, because you never know who might be shooting today and might need some help with those tips. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you.